Next, we're going to talk about equations involving absolute value. So remember, the absolute value of x, it's always written like this, and it describes the distance of x from 0 on the number line, okay? That's why it's always positive. Now let's consider absolute value equations. This is absolute value of x equals 2, meaning that we must consider real numbers whose distance from the origin on the number line is 2, namely -2 and +2. Linear absolute value equations are similar to linear equations and can be solved in a similar fashion. That's important to remember. We want absolute value equations to be in the form absolute value ax plus b and absolute value. Once the absolute value expression is isolated on one side, once again, we want to isolate the absolute value expression. The equation can be solved according to one of these three cases. So there's three cases. Case 1, if C, that means the constant, is positive, there are two solutions. So we drop the bars and we have C is positive, and we drop the bars and we have CB negative, okay? And that's how we get the two solutions. Case 2, C equals 0, then there'll be one solution. And case 3, if C is negative, then there is no solution, and that is because absolute value can never be negative. All right? So let's write these. First step, I told you it's a theme. We always isolate. Okay? This one is isolated. There's nothing on this side of the equal sign with him, so we're good. We're going to go 1, okay? Second step, we drop the bars. And we write it as two problems. I didn't mean to write that. Write as two problems. With a positive 11 and a negative 11, okay? So let's drop the bars, which is just going to make it 2x minus 3 equals 11, and then 2x minus 3 equals negative 11. That's what it says up here. If it's positive, we're going to have ax plus b equals c, and ax plus b equals negative c. Okay. Or means and in this math problem case. It's confusing, but it does. So let's just solve. We add 3 to both sides. So we have 2x equals 14. We want the x by himself, so we divide by 2. So x equals 7. Okay? Now we're just solving for x. I should have changed colors, sorry. I'll do that on this one. Add 3. Equals 2x. Divide by 2. X equals 4. So we can check these. Let's do that. Remember, we're always going to have, hang on, -8, -4. Sorry, should have looked at my notes. Should have paid attention. Okay, so now let's check these. Blue. So we're going to have absolute value of 2 times 7 minus 3 equals 11. So absolute value of 14 minus 3 equals 11. Absolute value of 11. 11, that's right. Okay, so that one's good. Box in. Now let's do this one. Different color. absolute value of 2 times negative 4 minus 3 is 11. So that is a negative 8 minus 3 equals 11. Absolute value of negative 11 equals 11. Absolute value always spits out positive, remember that. So 11 equals 11, and that one's good. So he's good too. Okay. So here, remember step 1 is to isolate. We do have some isolation to do here. We have to move the guy who stands alone first, so we're going to add 15. Absolute value of 1 minus 4x quantity equals 15 now. He's still not by himself, right? So we have more work to do. We have to divide both sides by 5. So absolute quantity 1, 4x. So we see that he's positive. This tells us we're going to have 2 solutions. So let's get to work on that. Number 2, we drop the bars. Make C, make positive 3 and negative 3, right? So we're going to have 1 minus 4x equals 3. 1 minus 4x equals negative 3. And then now, let's just solve. So we're going to subtract 1. By negative 4. Half. Subtract 1. Divide by negative 4. So x equals 1. We can check these again. You can check them in your calculator. I'll show you how to do that. So let's see, 5. Then you go to math. Right, go over to number. You see that pretty good? Not too good. There you go. Go over to number. The first one is absolute value. So you just hit that and it opens your absolute value bar, okay? So then we're going to say 1 minus 4. Then we're going to put parentheses, negative 1 divided by 2. Our, all that's in parentheses, or in our absolute value. So we're going to go over minus 15. And that's 0. So we know that was good, so we could just put our little tick beside it, and we're good, okay? Then we can do the same thing. We could go back up here and grab this, and then go over here. We'd have to delete a couple of these, and then just put in 1. So that's our value, and then it's 0 again, so we know that this one is also good. That is so much faster than checking it by hand. But I want you guys to be able to do it both ways, so that's why I'm kind of showing you some by hand, some on the calculator, but it's good to know how to get to your absolute value on calculator. So once again, absolute value, tick math, go over to number, and absolute value is the first one. So just hit enter and it'll open your absolute value up. You put whatever you want in there. I don't know, 4 minus 7. You can arrow over out of it and then put whatever else you want, like minus 9. And hit enter, and it'll give you your amount. Okay? I just made that number.